and welcome to Legal Affairs. My name is Diamond Liddy, and I'm the public defender of the 19th Judicial Circuit. Our Legal Affairs show today is going to be full of legal information and full of things that every person, pretty much, not every person, but most of you watching should know about. And we have a wonderful guest today, and that is Michelle Franklin, who is our property appraiser. And welcome, Michelle.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Before we get into the nitty-gritty of what a property appraiser does and all the nuances, and I have some questions that are important too. Tell us about your background. Where did you come from? Are you a local?
You didn't think I grew up here like so many? Yes, I actually came from Northern Illinois.
Okay.
Moved down in 99.
And that's all right. We won't hold that against you.
Yeah. I moved in 99, so I've been here for a while. Wasn't interested in shoveling snow anymore.
Yeah, I get it. Oh, my goodness, those pictures on TV. Oh, I just say, why would anybody live there? You know?
I know.
But anyway, go ahead.
And one day I said, why am I doing this?
Yes, right.
So moved down to St. Lucie County, and it was December of 99. And wasn't sure if this was going to be the forever home, but I quickly found that I just enjoyed it. I think we have a community like none other.
Oh, yeah.
And so I embraced it immediately and said, yes, this is going to be home. And of course, met Mr. Wonderful along the way and
good deal.
Had children. And so, you know, we're definitely entrenched in the community now.
Well, what were you doing in Illinois, and what did you first do?
I was actually doing banking right before I moved here. And so a lot with mortgages. And so it's interesting because I was kind of on the other side, if you will, of the mortgage circle. And so I came down. I had a friend who was going to an appraisal school at the time. I was like, sure, why not? That sounds interesting. Didn't necessarily have intentions to become an appraiser, but I thought, you know, it's always interesting to go to school and learn something.
Okay.
Seems interesting. Why not? I did the school at that time, IRCC.
Oh,
you have to think about that now. It's so used to saying IRSC. Went through the program and ended up going to work with an independent appraiser for a while, and said, you know, I'm not sure this is what I want to do forever, because the hours and banks are pretty demanding with timelines, and I knew that I was going to be a mother soon, and I don't know that this is the life I want. And ended up actually answering, I'm going to give myself away on age a little bit here, but ad in the paper for the property appraiser's office. And so I actually started there this month, 20 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Started entry level, answering the phones, and under the direction at that time of property appraiser Jeff First, who you remember.
Yeah. Now we're going back. And
back in
good
memory.
man.
So, very good man. And so ended up working, like I said, started public service and kind of worked my way up through many departments. And when Ken Pruitt, who was the property appraiser after Jeff First, decided he was going to retire, I threw my hat in the ring to run for office.
Oh, and how long have you been in office?
So January 2017, so 7 years right now.
Oh, great. Well, you know, it's funny, and not saying anything against those who don't have experience in a certain field that end up, you know, running for office or getting a job. You are unique in that you kind of worked your way up, and that you knew what you were doing when you took over the job. And don't get me wrong, there are people that get jobs that have never done it before and do a fabulous job too, but it's nice to know that you have the background and that you worked in the office.
Our office is a little unique, and I think many people don't know for sure what our responsibilities are.
Well, and that's what we want to talk about today, because it's real important. And by the way, your website that you need to talk about is very user-friendly, and that's good too, because you know, if you're looking up a piece of property or need to know, you know, what the address is of someone or something, you can navigate it pretty easily.
We've worked very hard to make it as user-friendly as possible, and we are in constant improvement. So as you know, programming takes some time.
Yeah.
So we are constantly working on what's the next thing without changing it drastically so that our thousands of users every day, don't feel the change, but improve, especially with speed.
Okay. Bottom line question, what does the property appraiser's office do?
So unlike an individual property appraiser that you might call when you're trying to get a loan for a home,
okay,
they're going to look at one property as of that date and assess what their value is of that property.
Right.
We're going to do that for 183,000 parcels in St. Lucie County every single January 1.
Wow.
So we're going to do it on one day of the year. We're going to do every real estate parcel. We're going to do every tangible personal property.
That's a lot
account.
of parcels.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
For a small team, but they're phenomenal. But we're going to do that
let's
every
stop right
January
there.
1.
How many people work for you?
When we're fully staffed, 71.
Wow.
So,
okay,
yeah,
so
but
go
we're
ahead.
not quite fully staffed in this market, as you might imagine. It's a little challenging.
We.
Yes, absolutely. But one of the best places to work in St. Lucie County, so we'd love to have applicants search
Ours
us out.
Ours is the best place. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you assess the value.
We assess the value of every property, tangible and real. We also have exemptions. Most people are familiar with the homestead exemption.
Right.
So we have
in case they're not, what is a homestead exemption?
Homestead exemption will reduce the taxable value of your property by up to $50,000 right now. That could change this year. There's a bill that's going through right now that may or may not grab any traction to add an additional $25,000 exemption.
Wow.
So those kind of change over time. It was $25,000 when I started in the office. It turned into $50,000 along with portability, which we can touch on later too.
Okay.
What portability is. The gist of it is you're going to take your tax savings from your current homestead and you can move it to any other property in the state of Florida.
Wow.
So
I did not know that.
Yeah, most people don't know. And so if you don't know what portability is, you're thinking about moving from any homestead in Florida to any other place that you're going to make your homestead, then call us.
Okay.
We want to share what that means for you. It's different for every single property owner. So we can't do a nice, easy, this is the benefit.
Excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
So on top of exemptions, which there's over 100 different types of exemptions on the tax roll, most of us don't qualify for the other exemptions like institutional and governmental and things like that.
Right.
But there is the homestead for all that are calling Florida their primary residence.
Gotcha.
And they own and occupy the property. And then kind of the third leg of the stool, if you will, is that we're the official mapper of St. Lucie County. So we're also in charge of taking the, I know it's a little time, but we're also in charge of making sure all those changes, we're close to tradition here, how many changes are happening there with lots and ownership.
Okay, we've talked about the responsibilities of the office, but does someone from your office physically go out to look at the how does that work? Give me the nuts and bolts.
So as you know, but others may not know, we're actually governed by the state of Florida.
Okay.
So the budget and the tax roll is approved from Tallahassee. And so they also give us legal requirements. We have to physically touch a property at least once every 5 years. So when it's new construction, we go out, boots on the ground, we put a tape measure on the wall to confirm the measurements.
Right.
So that happens anytime there's new construction. And then generally, if there's not changes, some point during the 5 years, we're going to touch it and just confirm that there's no changes.
Okay, so let's back up a minute. So you're saying the appraisal of the house may or may not change within 5 years?
The appraisal is going to change every year because we're going to do a valuation every single year.
Okay.
Every January 1, we're going to do a valuation. But once every 5 years, we're going to physically touch the property is what it is.
Well, how do you do a valuation without physically touching?
So what we're doing is mass appraisal. So in mass appraisal, we're going to do 183,000 on one single day. So we're taking a look at the sales that happened in that neighborhood.
Oh,
Now it gets
okay.
a little unique with neighborhoods sometimes. You know, we're close to PGA here. PGA is a nice defined neighborhood, right?
Right.
But if we're over in Port St. Lucie, you know, Floresta, Rosso, it's a little unclear which neighborhood and when it flows into the next neighborhood.
Right,
So it's
right.
kind of a geographic circle, if you will, an area that we're going to look at and use the sales from that area to determine the value.
Okay. So your property value can change every year.
Absolutely,
but
depending upon the market, the real
Okay.
estate market.
Okay. But you're not going to go physically out there. You're not mandated by the state to go physically out there.
We would need a
for
much larger staff.
Yeah, except for every 5 years.
Once every 5 years.
Now, do you give people notice that you're going to go physically out there?
Unfortunately, we don't. What we do,
How
as
do you
soon
keep
as,
from getting shot or something?
well, as soon as we head directly to the front door and we
Okay.
knock on the front door and let them know that we're on the property.
Okay.
So, you know, if there are things like fences where we can't see behind there, we don't enter those.
Oh,
So,
okay.
unless someone's home and says it's safe. Because you never know animals or what
Oh, yeah.
what people have going on in their backyard. And so we try our very best to respect privacy while we're also trying to get our legal requirements met.
Okay, so if nobody's home, then you do your physical.
We do a physical inspection, curbside, what we'll call it, and then there's also aerial imagery.
Okay. Now,
And that is not a drone, just because I know some people are worried about drone footage. That is not a drone, it's actually an airplane. So it is several thousand feet in the air, and we can't see people in the yard, but we can see structures.
okay. Now, let's say you appraise, and I don't know, you know, you appraise a home and the value is, I get my appraisal and I think it's too high. You're saying it's worth too much, or I'm saying it's not, you know.
And not enough.
Not
And it
enough.
happens on both sides. We do get people that disagree with the value, whether it's too high, and people every year that disagree that it's too low.
Okay.
So that happens.
So what do?
We mail out a trim notice in August every year. So it's very important for every property owner to open that notice and open it timely.
Okay.
So it does say this is not a bill. Some people tend to like, okay, I'm not sure what this is and not a bill. I'll revisit this.
Right.
So please don't revisit it. Open it at that point, and any questions that you have, you call us. If you believe it is too high or too low, we're going to have that conversation. Why? You know, I
okay.
probably know
Not
100.
with you.
Sometimes with me, yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
I probably know 183,000 properties better than you might know, but I bet you know the property that you own
Right,
better than I do.
right.
So we're going to talk about that. We're going to look over the property record card. We're going to confirm that we have accurate information, and have a discussion. Why is it you think that it's too high or too low? And
Well,
what
now-
we're going to do is we're going to share our sales with you that we're seeing in your neighborhood.
I got you.
Oftentimes what happens is people say, I didn't know, in this market that we have today,
Right.
I didn't know it sold for that. That's crazy. that's a comment
yeah.
that I've heard a lot. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way it sold for that.
Oh, especially in the market where
Yes.
you're seeing some little bitty house sell for $500,000.
And
or
for
a
those
million.
of us that have been here for a few decades, we're like, there's
No way.
But there is. There is.
Well, now, how do you know what's inside? Let's say there's a home that doesn't look. It looks nice on the outside. The landscaping is nice, but okay, but the inside is granite.
Hasn't been
and
updated
marble
forever.
And gold.
Oh, okay. Very updated. Yes. We don't know, and we don't ask. We don't look at the interior. We don't consider the interior necessarily.
Okay.
We do. If someone's home, we will ask for some information. Is it carpet? Is
okay.
it tile? Some basic information, but we don't consider cabinets and countertops and things that an actual independent appraiser would come in and take photos of and look.
Okay, so now if I'm going,
We're doing it on a very high level. So,
Okay.
if you think about it, like, 183,000, it's a very high level of value. We're not going to get into the nitty gritty.
right.
500, here and $1,000
Oh,
here.
no, I got it. But if somebody is contesting
Mm-hmm.
their value, would it behoove them to get an independent appraiser and appraise it and then come to meet with you? Or
at times, I always encourage people to talk to us first, because if you go out and get an independent appraiser, which we have very qualified, phenomenal people here locally,
right?
But they're also going to charge you for those services,
right?
And they're
right.
several $100s. So what I say to people is, come in, talk to us first. I'm going to give you every sale that we used. I'm going to show you what we used to come up with that value. If you take that information and you disagree with it and you want to, go forward and get an independent appraiser, generally appraisers are going to do it on the day that you call them out to the home. And remember, we're doing this on January 1.
Right.
So, sometimes by August, the market has changed.
So is it a fair assessment definition of how you appraise property to say that basically your appraisal is based on the surrounding area and what it's selling
And comparable properties.
Gotcha.
So if I have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath without a pool, and my neighbor across the street from me just sold that has a 4-bedroom, 3-bath with a pool, we're going to make some adjustments. We're going to look at that sale and consider that, but we're also going to make adjustments for the size difference under air, square footage under air, and the pool and some other things that might, maybe there's a pool deck and a screen or a shed.
Well, and I'm getting into just the minutia, but I'm,
I love your interest.
No,
Let's talk about it.
No, I'm the person who's watching this. If you're not doing what you do, you have no idea. Okay, so the assessment is made. Do you all sit in a room? And no, seriously, how is that finalized? Do you look at 183?
Oh, gosh, no.
No,
I can't.
of course
it's just
not.
not physically possible.
So do you have a hierarchy?
I have a phenomenal team. So it starts with our field appraisers.
Okay.
Well, actually, I should back up. It actually starts with the professionals that process deeds.
Okay.
So we're getting the document information from the clerk's office.
Okay.
So Clerk Miller kind of shifts that over to our office, every single deed that's filed in St. Lucie County, and we're looking at that. Our professionals are transferring that into our system so that we know the sales date, the sales price, and then we start with ensuring that it's a qualified sale. Because if I purchase this property from my parent at a significantly discounted rate, that's not a qualified sale. So the first thing we have to do is qualify the sale and make sure it's an arm's length transaction.
Wow. Okay, I had not even thought of that. Oh,
then we get to our field professionals that are going to make sure that the information is accurate, boots on the ground.
Right.
Then it goes to one of our analysts, and our analysts have neighborhoods. And so they're going to value those neighborhoods. From there, they have a manager that oversees, one on the commercial side, one on the residential side. And so we're going to make sure that we look at a whole neighborhood and check the values and the sales ratios within there.
Wow.
And then it goes to our director of assessments that's going to look at all of those.
Jeez.
And then ultimately I look at a very high level reports.
Okay.
We run about a tax roll every week, roughly.
Okay.
We run a couple extra during our time before we submit to the DOR, but we're running a tax roll a week looking at values and sales ratios every week.
Whoa. So to get to the final number, it's safe to say it goes through 4 to 5 eyes and evaluations. Wow. Okay. Now, give us what's happened in the last 5 years in St. Lucie County. You know better than anybody.
Yeah, it's amazing. When you think about how far we've come, in the 20 years I've worked in the office, we've seen the market go up significantly.
Right.
So remember, I started in 2004. So 2002,
wow.
3, 4, 5. I mean, we saw climbs that we thought we would never see again.
Yeah,
right?
but
and we saw a decrease because that's the thing with the real estate market. It's rarely going to be stagnant. It's either going up or going down. Right.
Right.
So we unfortunately saw that dip here in St. Lucie County, and then we're back on the rise again. The number of lots in Port St. Lucie in particular, the number of plats, because remember every time a developer files a plat and gives us 100 or 1,000 new single family lots, we're the first to see that. So the mapping department and I spend significant time together. How many plats? What's going on? What did we receive this week? Because that's our indication of what we're going to see a little later. So it's amazing what's happened in St. Lucie County.
Yeah.
If you have not visited the website, you mentioned it, paslc.gov.
Oh, I've visited it, but not in all its nuances.
Yeah.
Just to look up somebody's address to send them a Christmas card.
Yeah, great. Well,
I am not one of those that says, how much
did my
John
neighbor
and
pay?
Mary's house worth?
Yeah.
I don't do that.
You've got plenty else to go on. Yes, I understand. Well, those that have spent a little time on the website, and you may or may not have seen where new homeowners are coming from. So it's right on the home page, and you can click that interactive map. If you zoom in, you see the state of Florida. You see how many households have come from other counties. We're not getting anybody from the Panhandle, unfortunately.
Right.
But we're getting a ton of people from South Florida.
Oh.
So we see everybody that has filed for homestead to make St. Lucie County their new permanent residence. We see the numbers
And it shows
from
where
each
they're
county, how many homes have come.
And they are coming from South Florida.
And they're coming from South Florida. And if you zoom out, you can see the rest of the United States and see that we got 2 from Alaska last year, 2 from Hawaii. You might be surprised, several from the New England states.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, so it's a battle between South Florida and our New England states of who's coming to St. Lucie County.
Wow. Oh no, that is so interesting. And like I say, I just kind of did the property to find an address or whatever,
Yeah. Which people can do if they know the address. They can search by address. You can, not many know the parcel number if you're not in the business of insurance or construction or something.
Right.
And then you can also search by name. And we kind of, a few years back, I'm trying to remember because, they all run together.
Right.
It might have been maybe in 2015 or so, we worked on that Amazon improvement, I call it, where you start typing and it'll auto-populate the rest.
Yeah, okay.
So if you only remember, the first 5 letters of how to spell their last name,
Right.
you're going to get your options below and you might be able to find it
which is
too.
great.
So we're constantly looking for ways to improve that website and help people do things faster.
How many hits a day do you get on that?
Oh, it varies throughout the year. So it depends during our homestead time, which March 1 is the homestead filing deadline for this
Right.
tax year.
Okay.
We'll rev up again and have a lot of people filing online in January and February, so this is a peak time for that. Then in August, of course, when the trim notices get mailed out, and generally they hit the website a day before they hit mailboxes.
Yeah.
And we post all that to our social media. So if you want to be in the know, follow social media and we'll let you know when it's out there. But the hits are just tremendous during that time.
Wow.
But on a daily basis, you have insurance agents,
Sure.
real estate agents, and construction folks that are hitting that site constant. So if there is a blip in the system, which I'm very excited, our IT professionals are top notch. We rarely
Thank
have a
goodness.
problem. But we're human, and there are challenges that are going to happen throughout time. And when we take it down for improvements or anything like that, I mean, my cell phone goes crazy. I immediately would text messages. Is your site down? Why is it? What's going on? Give us 10 minutes. 10 minutes, and we'll be back.
We'll be up.
Yeah, we'll be back. We try to do it at night and off hours.
Right.
But yeah, people will let you know real quick. I'm like,
Wow.
But thanks for visiting.
We're on it. I have a couple questions. This is just a basic, for lack of a better term, a bimbo question. But, all your life you hear location, location, location. Does that affect property values?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And even from somebody in a community. And how do we know this?
I know. It's not just if it's on the water, it's where it,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Do you have that golf course view? Do you have the water?
Right.
Are you up and have the front gate with more traffic? And we don't determine the value of that, the market does.
Right, gotcha, yeah. Okay, we had talked about before we started rolling today about the homestead tax exemption that local attorneys would be able to advise, but many people don't know about. That's important.
So I really want to throw that in. If anyone is considering placing their property into a trust or adding somebody to the deed, a lot of times that happens with estate planning that, I have a child, let me add this so that I can avoid probate. All of those things are great things, but they can impact a homestead exemption. Now remember, we talked about the homestead exemption and that being a $50,000 benefit.
Right.
The greater part of that benefit is generally, in a market like we have today, the 3% cap that's been in place.
Right. Right.
And so if people don't know about that, call us. We're going to explain it to you.
And what is the 3% cap?
So that 3% cap is the benefit of a homestead exemption. You get the $50,000 plus the 3% cap that goes on your property after that first year.
Right.
That does not allow your value, not taxes, because we don't do taxes, we do value.
The value.
Your value to increase more than 3% in any one tax year. So this past year, you're looking, in the city of Port St. Lucie, we saw double-digit value increases.
Wow. I was just about to ask that. Whoa.
So
okay.
What the homesteaded property owner benefited from was that 3% cap. So they didn't see double digits. They only saw 3% change in their value. And so when you make a change to the deed, that can impact your cap.
I gotcha.
So
Okay.
please, please, please call us. We're not attorneys. We're not going to give any legal advice.
No.
But we're going to say, if in fact you do whatever you're telling us, this is what I want to do.
You need to seek
this would or would not impact your exemption.
Right. Right.
And and so
you can at least say that.
we can absolutely say that, and what we say is talk to your attorney, and I always say talk to a local attorney.
Not your
Please
New
talk to a
Jersey
local
guy.
attorney. Don't talk to your Jersey guy because he doesn't know about homestead in Florida.
Right.
And so talk to your local attorney and make sure that everybody's in agreement, because sometimes the cap isn't the most important thing in your planning, in your estate planning. Maybe
Right.
there's something else that's more important.
I gotcha.
But I don't know all those ins and outs.
Gotcha. We're almost out of time. We got a couple minutes. Anything you want to tell the folks that are watching? A heads up or beware
There's
of.
so many things to talk about.
I know.
I can go on about the office all day. But what I would say, most importantly, what I hope people heard today is that we're here to help.
Right.
So call us.
And the people are nice. I can vouch for that.
Thank you. Yeah, no, we want to help property owners. We're not affiliated with the county or the city or anything.
Right.
The county is required to house us, which is a great thing for the taxpayer
But
that we don't answer to the county.
Exactly, and that's an important. You're a state entity.
State entity. So, which is great because in theory they could say, what about those values? And there would be a reason they would want. Not that any of our local officials have by any means.
Right. No, I know that.
But we are completely separate. So it's important that people know that we're here to assist, whether that be value or exemptions. Call us. We're happy to. We're an open book of value. We'll show you exactly what we used.
Right.
Happy to do that. And then the other thing is a reminder of those trim notices every August. So I always tell people circle August 15th on your calendar. And if you haven't received it in the mail by then, hop online and start looking for it because, sometimes with the mail and forwarding and things of that nature, there can be challenges to receive it. But you want to double check every year that you open that notice. I would say there's two things. It's 2 pages. There's a whole lot of numbers. It can be a bit confusing. We have some videos on social media that highlight individual sections of the trim notice and explain what they mean if you want to deep dive. But if you just want to do a quick, am I good? You look at 2 things. One of them is value, top right-hand corner in yellow, and the second is in the middle of the page in blue, your exemptions. You just want to confirm that nothing happened to your homestead exemption.
And that's still
And you want to make sure that you agree with your value. If you look at those 2 things and you're happy, great.
Everything's good.
Everything else. The others are information from the 24 taxing authorities that we have here in St. Lucie County.
Good deal. Michelle, thank you for being on this show. This was great. I learned so much.
Oh, good. Then I feel like I've won.
Thank you.